Welcome to Casey Cares, the voice of Kansas City nonprofits. We share the stories of local nonprofits and the individuals who drive them. At Casey Cares, we connect the nonprofit and business sectors to enhance the quality of life in Kansas City for both our residents and our visitors. This Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, www.kaufman.org. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. Natural disasters continue to test us. And most recently, it's the devastating floods in the hill country of Texas that have left a deep wound. Over 130 lives lost, many still unaccounted for, and the destruction is overwhelming. Entire neighborhoods and businesses along the Guadalupe River have been wiped out, and the community is facing a long road to recovery. So what does this have to do with Kansas City? Well, there is a connection. Things get interesting. Two men, a pretty unexpected duo, both with strong ties to the Kansas City area and a heart for giving back, decided to step in and do something to help. Their story is a powerful reminder of how collaboration can truly make a difference. Today on Casey Cares, we're diving into how the team came together to bring relief to those hardest hit. We're being joined by former Kansas City Chiefs running back Priest Holmes and Overland Park Rotary member Mike Meyer. Welcome to both of you. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking time because you guys are really, really busy with this whole thing. Priest, I want to start with you. You kind of got this ball rolling or at least made the connection. Share with our audience how this whole thing happened.
Well, it's pretty simple, Ruth. This multi-city initiative really started with a phone call and a text. And I think if you recall, you might know the text that I'm referring to. Ruth, you had actually reached out and texted me and asked me, is my foundation doing anything to help the flood victims? And that was the first text that came through my phone. And then immediately the following morning, I received a call from Mike Myers, and trust me, he had a truckload full of supplies already to go coming out of Tennessee via Feed the Children. And that was a great opportunity for us to connect. And I'll allow Mike to talk more about that phone call and what initiated behind the scenes on his part. But I know when he gave me that call, I knew that that was something that from the seed that you had, Ruth, it was just another indication of how God was working in my life. And I just followed and then made calls and made things happen. And here we are today.
Okay, Mike, your turn to jump in. I should tell our audience before you jump in, you two knew each other before this call. And I would love to share that background at some point too.
Well, sure, we can start with that. About 7 years ago, you and your husband were driving down the road somewhere in Texas, and you called me and said, I'm a friend of our favorite football player here. And I said, well, how can I help? And you said, well, I know you do relief and you have connections, so please give Priest a call. And so I did. And within just a few hours, we were able to start a process of shipping in trailer loads of emergency supplies to Priest. And he had plenty of volunteers and the logistics to do it. So working with Feed the Children, which I've done since 2010, was easy to put the request in because I do it on a regular basis. So because of that regular basis and working with the military, they just basically said, what do you need? And so Priest and I got together, and within a few days, he had what he needed. And then we haven't actually met before. We've always talked on the phone, and I'm on the board of directors down in Texas of the National Vietnam War Museum in Mineral Wells, Texas. And I was talking to my connectors down there towards the first of the week when the flood started. And they kind of told me what was going on. And then as I hung up, I got to thinking, well, I think I know somebody in San Antonio. So I called Priest, and within a few hours, we had it worked out that we could get a trailer to him fairly quickly. And then by the grace of God, within a few hours, I got another call from Feed the Children, said, can you use potato chips? And I said, yes. And we get them about once a month. So we shipped him a whole load of potato chips out of Topeka, Kansas. And Luckily, both trailers arrived at the same time, coordinated by a priest. And with his volunteers and staff, we know we were in good hands. So we feel very comfortable because of what we've learned in the past and how he operates, that just a matter of getting him into his hands. And I know Feed the Children has been very, very supportive and very pleased with the pictures that Priest has already sent. They've already got that out to their corporate donors. And this is a good example of corporate social responsibility, which I've worked with for over 25 years. So I know how the wheels work. And once the story develops, it turns into a strong relationships. And that's what's happened in this situation.
Mike, so how is Overland Park Rotary involved in this whole massive effort that the two of you have put together?
Well, I've been a member of the Overland Park Rotary for 20 years, and we were looking for projects to create. And of course, your husband, Larry, I met in Rotary, so we had worked together for a period of time on these projects. So I came up with an idea because I was working with Feed the Children. Why not do something like Rotary Cares and Rotary Reads, because they have access to not only brand new Disney books, but also the food and the supplies that I could bring into Kansas City. And so once we started that in 2017, we received $2 million in product in our first year to deliver to.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, most of that was the value of the Disney books. One trailer load of Disney books is $250,000. And
Wow.
with that Chiefs connection, we were able to get the ambassadors involved back then when we started, because Dave Lindstrom, a good friend of Priest, was in our club. And so once we started that program, we expanded it to a couple of military bases, one in Fort Riley, Kansas, and the other in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And it's because I had some past connections there. We were able to expand the Rotary Foundation, our club, into supporting both the community and the military simultaneously. And we average about $3 million a year in product coming into Kansas City or those two bases.
Wow. Now, Mike, I know you have a military connection. Share with our audience, please. You're a veteran.
Well, yes, I'm a Vietnam veteran. I grew up in Kansas City. I went to college after Vietnam. I went to Rockhurst College to get my undergraduate and graduate degree. I spent 15 years as a commodities trader, started at the Kansas City Board of Trade, and then was lucky enough to retire when I was 45 years old. And so I started doing humanitarian work. And I went back to Vietnam. I've had 14 trips to Vietnam, and we did the first medical airlift to Vietnam in '95 with FedEx and Heart to Heart. And so that was my first major project. So I spent 6 years going back and forth to the hospitals in Vietnam, working with the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies that needed to support the poor hospitals. So I did that. And then by the grace of God, and I always mention God because I've been blessed, and Priest understands being blessed because you happen to be, for some reason, at the right place at the right time. And I was asked and hired by the VFW headquarters here in Kansas City to work in their foundation as their development director. And after 6 months, they promoted me to executive director. And 6 months later was 9/11. So within 5 years, I was able to raise $34.5 million, both in goods, services, and gift in kind. Thanks to Hallmark Cards here in Kansas City, thanks to FedEx and the Walmart Foundation. So for 6 years, I put together programs for the military and their families during the war. And then shortly thereafter, I was asked to help start a new organization called it was the Salute America's Heroes Foundation, and organization. It really wasn't a foundation; it was just a nonprofit. And we put money into the hands of the seriously wounded families and the Gold Star families. So I did that for about 12 years, and then we really concentrated on Rotary because we could accomplish a lot with our Rotary Foundation. So with all my military experience and connections, I was able to develop a network, and Feed the Children was one of them. And that network was I helped them create a military connector arm for the organization. And we did that. We're doing it today. So we started that in 2010. So I'm one of the top receivers of product from Feed the Children. And another Chiefs connection, and of course, Ruth, you know about that. I don't know if I told Priest, but in 2021, we gave Patrick Mahomes $500,000 of Disney books for the Kansas City, Missouri school district through our Rotary Foundation. So we try to support our Chiefs, and here's a good example of it. But what I have found through this network is that people who really care make things happen. And Priest is a good example. When you really have the passion to solve problems, anything's possible.
Well, first of all, Mike, thank you for your service in the military, but thank you for your service to people who really are in need. Priest, you have a military connection as well. I'm not sure everybody knows. So let's hear about your story that way. We know about the fantastic stuff on the field. Unsurpassed, but.
So as far as just the background military wise, both parents are both military. My mother was Air Force and my father was Army. And so that kind of gives a little background about me. I never stayed on base. So in terms of being a military brat, I got a little bit of that in me, but we stayed off base for the majority of that time. And I spent my high school years and grade school years here in San Antonio. So I've really enjoyed that time and the community that has been developed. But even when I go back to listening to Mike and some of the things that he had spoken about, he talked about being at the right place at the right time. He reminded me of Coach Vermeil. That was something that he would always mention to us Sunday mornings before our games. Each teammate, make sure you're in the right place at the right time. And I think that's carried over now to my post career, and being able to do that and connect the dots there with Mike and getting these supplies to the victims here in Kerr County.
Talk a little bit about your foundation and the work that you do. And I know partnerships are big.
Yeah, so with the Priest Holmes Foundation, collaborations are very, very integral in terms of getting into the community and providing resources. We do a back-to-school backpack drive that we do each year. We collaborate with other foundations here locally. Also, we have a number of things that we've just started, a new initiative with the barbershop that has been opened here in Universal City. And so we're providing haircuts for kids as well. Really enjoy giving back to the community. Just this past May, we had a fishing event. That's also something that all 35 chapters with the NFLPA have an opportunity to do in their cities as well. We connected with Sportsmen's Alliance, and so that's another group of gentlemen that provide the fishing rods, the worms, the bait, you name it. They bring real as well, and we have over 150 kids in different communities here in Galveston and also San Antonio, Texas.
Now, I know when you retired, you had the foundation going already, but you also jumped in with some other organizations. Can you talk a little bit about that and why that was important to you?
Well, with different organizations that I've partnered with, Bebe McClinton with All Sports. We do the facility workouts with the different kids that are coming through the ranks of wanting to play all sports, not just specifically football. And then also one of the things that I admired so many years was when I was in Kansas City, I had a chess club that I was able to with there in Kansas City. So I still continue to kind of use my platform from my 11 years in playing football as a platform, a springboard in order to connect people, always trying to be that connector and passing those resources. And it's good to be a conduit. I think God works through me, works through our communities, and it's really showed up here like it always has in the United States. When there's emergencies and crisis, there's a number of people, regardless if they're near or far, on a national level. We've had so much support here for the Kerr County flood victims and those that lived in the Hill Country as well.
We're talking with Priest Holmes, former Kansas City Chiefs running back, and Mike Meyer, volunteer extraordinaire, wearing a hat today for Feed the Children and Overland Park Rotary. Priest, can you give us a snapshot of what it's like? You're not far away. You're about an hour from Kirk
Exactly.
County. What's the sense? What's the feeling? You're fairly close.
Absolutely. Yeah, so on Friday of last week, it was national news as well that President Trump had landed and did a flyover over Kerrville and Kerr County area, and then gave a press conference. And so, prior to that, there was a number of wreckage. When you think of over close to 20 miles of debris, metal, trees turned over, houses moved, vehicles floating down the river. It was a number of wreckage that happened, definitely impacted the community. It stretched as far as on a national level to where it took the attention of President Trump and his wife to come and see. So it's a number of things that we're doing. The resources are coming in. There are certain areas to where because of the flood, there's areas where trucks are being turned around. So even in coordinating and bringing in the trucks and making sure we had warehouses in order to facilitate the fulfillment and receive, there were challenges behind those doors as well.
Right.
Behind the scenes, there's always moving parts, as Mike probably is very familiar with that, and such as yourself, Ruth, with you having Casey Cares. There's a number of challenges on the back end, but at the end of the day, I think we pulled it off. And as a community, everyone is still decided that they're going to be on the long haul. This is not something that just in 30 days turns around and becomes something that no one remembers again. This is actually going to be impactful for so many people. And I think when you think of 4th of July as an Independence Day, there's a community now that when that day comes around, it's going to be very, very tough, the way that they will be able to embrace and celebrate on that day. But at the end of the day, I think that as a community, we are pulling together to support the residents in those areas. And so I don't know if you've heard, but there's also been in Frio other rain and flooding that's also hitting Texas as well. So our hearts go out to those individuals as well. And if they get connected through this news platforms and social media, the Priest Holmes Foundation at priestholmesfoundation.org is always willing to step in and provide a resource and connect the dots.
Mike, can you tell us the logistics of getting these things to the people who needed them or still need them?
Feed the Children has a pretty extensive warehouse network. They're headquartered in Oklahoma City. They probably have 500,000 square feet of warehouses there. They have other warehouses in Laverne, Tennessee, which is a suburb of Nashville. They have others in southern Indiana, some in Arizona, and some in Philadelphia. I mainly pull out of both Oklahoma City, Nashville, and Indiana because it's centrally located here. And they usually have products that come in that are mixed. Sometimes they don't even know, what's coming and when do they get it. So they will call me and say, well, we just had this arrive, or could you pick this up and put it somewhere or use it? So about a third of the time, I'll make arrangements for truck lines to pick up the product at the vendor. Topeka is a good example with Frito-Lay. And then I have Feed the Children has a for-profit division, which is a trucking division. So they have 50 semis. And to me, they look like they're all brand new. And I use them as much as I can because, they're part of Feed the Children. And they're always on time. They have the best drivers, I think, that you could ever want. So in terms of logistics, when we say something's going to arrive at a certain time, it's there within the hour. And so we can coordinate a really tight operation, both on pickup and delivery. And what we have found is that when the stories get back to Feed the Children and they get that back to their vendors, the phone rings off the wall for them. And a good example is what happened yesterday. They got a call from the company that produces like muscle milk or the protein drinks we see at, Sam's. And they had a whole trailer load for us, and we were able to give that to Priest, and he's got that coming on the way. So,
wow,
that's how the logistics work. So sometimes I have no idea what's coming, and they have Feed the Children has an extensive group of donors. For instance, Niagara Water is one of the biggest, and they also bottle for Coca-Cola. So I'm working on right now to get some Gatorade, where I'm working on
Oh,
that right now,
perfect.
which we've received before. So, so they pretty much have a menu that I can pick from sometimes. And we worked the disaster in North Carolina and Tennessee in
Mhm.
November. We worked that for 3 months. In the logistics, sometimes you don't realize how many volunteers can make a difference in terms of Tennessee in shipping to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and Clarksville, Tennessee, which is only 70 miles north of Nashville. So I could have a trailer there within an hour from Nashville. And they actually put supplies on helicopters and flew it in to the mountains of Asheville for a number of weeks. And that was the Air Guard of Tennessee. And besides the other units, the military units sharing that product. So when you get a network like Priest has, for example, you all you have to worry about is just getting it into their hands, and then Priest takes over. It's a good example because, well, it's a team effort. We don't try to take credit for something that we don't do. What we do is take credit for getting it there. You know, the delivery and the interpersonal connections that are developed at the other end lie in the hands of the receiver. And Priest, I know you're a running back, so I said the word receiver. But that's the way it works, and it's very efficient. And I ran a number of programs with the Walmart Foundation, so I understand logistics. And that was your question. So, with all the experience over the years, we usually can get through the bumps pretty quick.
Priest, what are some of the things that you all have been able to get in the first round? As you indicated, this will be ongoing. So, what's arrived, and what have you been able to distribute?
Yeah, absolutely, Ruth. So some of the products and supplies that have come in, it mentioned the Niagara water, um, tons of pallets of water that have come in, cleaning supplies such as Clorox. There's a story behind that as well with one of the volunteer police departments that was in Ingram, Texas. They lost uniforms, they lost equipment. So being it very difficult for a firefighter to go and respond on a volunteer basis is going to be incredibly hard not having the budget. Uh, they didn't have product to clean with. So one of
Mm.
we did was we reached out to their program and asked them if they had drivers that could meet us and pick up loads of Clorox and bleach so that they could have those cleaning products. And so that was one of the items that was on the truckload as well. There were slippers, there was robes. You know, and the thing that I like most is that there was a little pick me up that was in there. And Mike talked about sometimes you don't know what's going to arrive, but there was reusable Starbucks cups and also Starbucks coffee. So for all of the shifts that are going to be taking place, and we know that Salvation Army Services have tons of people that are on shifts that are working. They also have the Red Cross shelters. There's 3 of those, 2 in Kerrville and 1 in Comfort. They're using one of the high schools. They're locally in Comfort, but also providing even coffee to make sure that those that are coffee drinkers can keep volunteering and keep being present because it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of manpower as well. So we're just really excited about that. And we talked about the Frito-Lay chips, Lay's chips that came in as well. One of the things that you wouldn't even realize is that was one of the biggest requests with some of the shelters and some of the organizations because they needed bagged chips, individual bagged chips in order to
Mhm.
give out. And so that came as a blessing as well. So the truckloads will continue to come. I'm excited about having that resource as well. Mike keeps talking in football terms and analogies like that. He talks about running back and receiver, and he talks about once we put it in my hands, it reminded me of Trent Green and Trent Dilfer, 2 of my quarterbacks, one in Baltimore and then Trent Green in Kansas City. Once they put the ball in my hand, I know exactly what to do. And that's what we're trying to do is make as many first downs as we can and punch it into the end zone and get the support and get the help that we can get to Kerr County.
Well, we greatly appreciate what you're doing. Priest, share with me, there are a couple other organizations that have now hopped on the bandwagon, so to speak, and I would be remiss if we didn't mention them.
Absolutely. So the Kansas City Ambassadors, that was one of the relationships as I left and retired. I became an ambassador as well. And it was one of those calls where I got our president, Dane Hughes, and then also our previous president, John Lohmeyer. He had reached out to me and asked about the good works that we were doing in the community and also having a contact there with Mike. And they had said that, also with what is going on with the Hunt family and losing their cousins that was a family member, the ambassadors just wanted to stand in solidarity with the team and let them know that they also can relate with that sadness, and then also wanted to show the morale of the ambassadors coming together and making a decision to make a monetary donation as well. And so as a whole, I was really excited about that. And for those that may not be familiar with the Kansas City Ambassadors, they are a group of retired former players that played for the Chief, and they get involved with community initiatives, not only on a local basis there in Kansas City and Missouri, but also now they're also partnered up with me and Mike, and they're helping out here in San Antonio. So we're excited about that. We also have other former players through the NFLPA Former Players chapter. Like I said, I'd mentioned there's 35 chapters across the nation. We support the San Antonio Austin chapter for former players. Our president, Jarvion Williams, he definitely jumped on board. He's waiting for the next trucks to come in as well. He wants to keep coming out and showing his support and being a part of this. We had about 4 former players that came out and helped out when we received the 2 truckloads just this past weekend that Mike had sent from Feed the Children. We had a great backdrop as well. We were able to capture Feed the Children and show their support as well as being a sponsor and collaborating with us as well. And our local news, you would believe that our local news has definitely got on board, and they're wanting to make sure that they highlight everything that's coming in, giving us that chance to be able to put that word back out and to get more individuals to continue to support. And most of all, that made the adjustment. It was a last minute adjustment because some warehouses were turning away some of the trucks because they had actually had too many supplies that came in. But it's Hill Country Daily Bread Ministries, and they are the warehouse that in the group of individuals. I had a chance to meet the founder there and had a great talk with her and her husband. And so they opened up their warehouse, their doors, and said that any trucks that come in, you have loading dock number 7 and loading dock number 8.
Oh,
That was really helpful to know that they provided that. And then the city in itself and the surrounding communities, they are also opening doors. You have business owners here, not only supporting as a volunteer, but also providing with monetary donations. But there are also companies that privately held that have warehouses, and they're now opening their doors up and saying, if Daily Bread Ministries warehouse gets overloaded, there's another warehouse that you can go to. So that's why I was telling Mike, keep the trucks coming, because there's support here, and I'm excited that we can all get together and make this happen.
We have just a minute or so left. If folks want to jump on the bandwagon, sorry, it's not a football reference, overlandparkrotary.org and priesthomesfoundation.org?
Absolutely.
But
Sure.
Designate, right, that it's for Kerrville, whatever. You guys are doing amazing work, and you still haven't met in person. All right, we got to get all over that one. As you have been working together, and I think that what's wonderful for our audience in particular is the power of partnership, the power of calling another nonprofit organization. Don't be too proud, that it's a neighborhood and it's a village, and this is just proof that it works, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, one person can make a difference. No matter what you think your contribution is, as long as you have the passion and the mission, it makes a difference.
Well, thank you to both of you for stepping up so quickly when the need was there. So thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you, Ruth. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We are produced by a nonprofit called Charitable Communications. This Casey Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing, Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. If you would like to be a guest or want to know more about what we do, visit our website. It's kccaresonline.org. And spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. And don't forget, Saturday mornings, you can catch us at 8 a.m. on ESPN 1510 AM and 94.5 FM. And thanks for joining us on KC Cares.